This is the ridge in Thorndike, Jackson, and Dixmont that the wind companies want to put turbines on. Some people are okay with that, especially the leaseholders, and some are not. We live 5 miles from the ridge, and we will certainly see them, but we won't hear them. They say that if you live in a valley on the downwind side of the turbines, the noise can be a real problem. Since we've never seen a turbine close up, I thought we'd take a trip to Freedom and see if we could get close to them. It's April 12th, 2009. I'm standing about 5 miles from the ridge in question in Jackson. Straight ahead is Thorndike. If we pan to the right, we enter Jackson. A little more of Jackson. A little more of Jackson. Now about dead center, we switch over to Dixmont and continue up that ridge line. And that's about as far as I can see. That's Dixmont. It's a beautiful windy day. I'm going to go see if I can find those wind turbines in Freedom. Let's go see if the old girl is ready for a ride. Here she is, and it looks like she's ready. Sophie's always ready. You can see the turbines quite a few times on the drive to Freedom. After all, they are 400 feet tall. Here we are at Ingraham Equipment on Route 137, and they are quite visible, although they don't show up too well in this photograph. Here is another place on 137 just before you get to the village where you see them quite well. Looks like we'll have to take a left once we get into Freedom. Had a nice cup of coffee at the Freedom General Store. Sophie had a biscuit. After a trip down a side road in Freedom, we realized we were on the wrong track, but we found a nice lake. The turbines are visible from here, but we've got to turn around. Back in town, we found this old mill next to a dam and a raceway. Probably some interesting history here, but no one's around to talk to. Wound up at the post office. Closed on Sunday. A little further up the road at a cemetery, we got a clear glimpse of the 3 turbines. They still look like they're off to the left. Getting closer. They look very close from this road. I had an interesting conversation with a man in the pickup truck up ahead. He lives about a quarter of a mile from the turbines and say they wake him at night. He also talked about his friend who lives further away than he does. Said his friend, before they built the turbines, drove all the way to Mars Hill to see what all the fuss was about and came back and said, "They don't make any noise." Now he's sorry. They do make noise. He also mentioned his parents, who live about a mile from the turbines and can hear them. But they're not too bothered because of the distance. It all depends which way the wind's blowing and how far away you are. We went on up his road and got to this house. As you can see, he lives very close to a turbine. I recognized this house because of the videos on YouTube. It's Phil Bloomstein's house. I can see why he has a problem with noise and flicker. I'm not a real estate agent, but I don't see how he could ever sell his house. He'd almost have to give it away. Today, it is so windy, all I can hear is the wind blowing through the trees. But on a day when there is enough wind to turn the turbines, but not enough to mix in at ground level, he must hear them clearly. I can't imagine how this has affected his life. The road looks like it dead ends up ahead, so I'll have to turn around. This has to be the right road. They look like they're right up ahead. Here we are at the top of the hill. There are 4 or 5 houses that I can see. I don't know how many more are around that I can't see. But a road goes off to the right and has a few mailboxes, so there are other houses around. The turbines are very close to this house and several others. I can't imagine what this has done to their lives, let alone their property values. This is the access road to the turbines. There was a gate, but you could go right around the gate and walk right up to them. The sign on the gate said the circumference of their blades takes up 3 acres. I believe it. The turbines are huge. It's really pretty amazing. Overwhelming, really. Alien almost. Even though it's very windy, we could hear them. They sound like a jet plane in the distance, but the plane never gets any closer. There is also a rhythmic swoosh as each blade passes in front of the tower. Is the noise loud? I can't say that it is really loud. Is it annoying? I'm not annoyed yet. But then I'm only going to be here for 10 or 15 minutes, and then I'm going to get in my car and go home where it's very, very quiet. If I lived around here and had to listen to it all the time, I think I'd find it extremely annoying. The people that live here can't go home. They are home. So I don't know what's going to happen to our ridge here in Thorndike, Jackson, and Dixmont. We'll have to wait and see what the town decides. As for me, I like it just the way it is.